welcome back into Cherry Picking. We're back for Game 1 preview. We gave you the Stanley Cup preview. That link is in the description below. Be sure to like before we start the video, but Game 1, we're finally here. Getting into this round compared to last round, I think the first question I want to ask you guys is, what is the biggest adjustment you think is going to be for either team? Going from Carolina, really, from Florida, and then Edmonton also from Dallas.
I think for Florida going into Edmonton series, Edmonton's a much faster-paced team, probably one of the fastest teams in the league in terms of transition speed, whereas Carolina kind of played more of a defensive-style game, kind of try to own the neutral zone and go from there. But Edmonton, with their quick pace, Florida's going to have to get up in the play. They're going to have to block the neutral zone, basically own their own blue line if they want to win. At any point, if Edmonton can crack through, their offense is going to be looking to score in fast ways and in bunches. For Edmonton, I think that Florida's a much more physical team compared to anybody they've played yet. So dealing with a heavy forecheck and quick through the neutral zone is going to be crucial.
Yeah, for me, it's just with Edmonton, it's just the straight up star power that Florida's going to have to deal with. I feel like with Carolina, although they do have good players, really good depth, really good defensively, I think just the straight up star power of McDavid, Draisaitl, and those top tier goal scorers are going to be the big adjustment there. And then Edmonton with Florida, they haven't played a team this powerful yet. I really don't think, on the physicality side and on the confidence side.
These are the two best teams in the league.
100%.
Like this is and we talked about in the last video when the odds originally came out. There's like really even. Edmonton is taking a majority of the money at this point. They seem like the more popular pick really to get it done. Like history's on their side, as we talked about as well. But I think the biggest question for me going into this first game is the goaltending. Larmer, what are you expecting, or what do you think we're going to see from Stuart Skinner? Because he was great in that Dallas series. He had 5 goals saved above expected in that entire series. He outplayed Ottinger, clearly, in that Game 6 getting pulled. Yeah. Do you think he's going to continue that at this point? Like a 9-day break or whatever it's been?
Yeah, right? I think in terms of the goaltending, obviously clear cut and dry, Florida owns that department. Now, the thing that protects Edmonton in my eyes, goaltending-wise, is usually their offense can match it. So if Stuart Skinner's going to give up 3 to 4 goals, you can almost rely on Edmonton's offense to score that much. Now, I do see games, there's a good chance there's going to be games where Skinner's going to let in a couple bad goals. Florida's got a high-power offense, and it's very aggressive, especially in front of the net. So there's going to be games where Skinner's going to let in a few. I don't think he's going to be as good as he was in Dallas. But, again, I'm going to, hopefully really rely on Edmonton's offense to match, Skinner's blunders whenever it comes.
So, Game 1, less or more than 3 goals he'll give up?
I'm going to say more.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a big high-scoring game.
Edmonton can still win. Like you said, if they allow 3 goals, he can still win.
Yeah, you can still bank on it.
Stuart Skinner has played 2 Game 1s in this postseason. He didn't play the Game 1 against Vegas, obviously. So he's allowed 12 goals in 2 Game 1s.
That's not good.
So if history repeats itself, it's going to be a high-scoring game. So I do think it's going to be a very high-scoring affair. Obviously, the Oilers can match, like you said, the goal scoring that Florida's going to have, and maybe the blunders that Stuart Skinner does have. But Bob, I think, has the advantage in every goaltending stat in this series. He's been here numerous times. The stats they speak for themselves. So.
Yeah, he was unbeatable in those first 3 games of last year's Stanley Cup Finals, even this year. And I think the biggest thing for me with Stuart Skinner going into this series is Dallas is a team he's kind of consistently always played well against. Florida not necessarily has been a team like that. I would say he's more struggled than had success against. And a team that's similar to him or like that for him was Vegas, and he played amazing when he ended up coming in for Picard at the end. So maybe he's faced those demons and he's ready to kind of get past that. But as we look at Game 1, the final prediction. Last year, Game 1 was 2-1. It was in Florida, though, right? I believe it was in Florida.
Yes,
they won 2-1. I think Reinhart Verhaeghe scored and Janmark scored for Edmonton. How do you guys see it going? Give me your team and then a score prediction so we know if you think it's going to be low scoring or high scoring.
I'm going to stick with Edmonton here, going Game 1 on home ice. I also think it's very crucial. Obviously, they have the pressure in the series. Florida's got it done before. Like we said, they're a huge confidence team right now. The pressure's on Edmonton, that's clear. But I think it's a little advanced because there is that opportunity late in the series where they could switch from from Skinner to Picard,
Yeah.
whereas Bobrovsky's got 7 games here.
Yeah,
No
true.
matter what happens here, he's sticking in. So I think the pressure's on Edmonton to get a really good start and kind of take control of the series right away. So I'm going Edmonton on home ice, game 1.
I'm going. Oh gosh, I picked Florida in the series.
It's tough. It's tough.
I'm gonna go Florida. I'm gonna go Florida because of just the Stuart Skinner stat that I stated earlier. Not good in game 1s. Obviously, you said a lot of time to wait, and he's been a guy that we've maybe seen. He gets a little bit nervous in these situations. So a lot of time to think. So I'm gonna go Florida and a score. Let's go 4-3 Florida.
Okay.
I guess
you?
for my score, I'm going to go 5-4 Edmonton.
Okay.
1-goal game.
I'm gonna go a 4-1 Florida game win.
Okay.
Game 1 win.
Domination.
I think Edmonton won 4 straight going into this Stanley Cup Finals.
Yes.
Losing game 1 and then ripping off 4 in a row.
Yeah.
I think we see them come down to earth a little bit here. But I don't obviously I still think this series is going to go to 7. But I think Florida wins game 1. Skinner struggles. Bobrovsky is so good when he has tons of rest.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to ask you guys, because there's something that you can bet on, is if the team that loses game 1, will they win the Stanley Cup Finals? So I think the Oilers to lose game 1 but win the series is plus 430. The Panthers to lose game 1 but win the series is plus 380. Do you think there's a chance that do you think that that's a good bet?
I do.
Either way.
Either way? Yeah, I think either way because we've seen it in the LA series and we've seen it in the Dallas series where Edmonton's got off to a slow start and they've stormed back in a very harsh way in terms of they didn't lose the rest of the series. Florida also has had a pretty shitty home record.
Yeah.
So Edmonton can very well go into Florida and take a game there, even if they lose, to kind of match up a loss on home ice.
Sure.
The saying's always, you're not in trouble until you lose at home.
Yep.
I don't think that's necessarily the case with this series, considering Florida's been pretty crappy at home. So I think it's a good bet.
Yeah.
I would agree. I think it's a good bet as well. I do think if Florida does take this game 1, that Edmonton will storm back in game 2, and it will be 1-1 going to Florida for sure.
I like that.
So I honestly think out of Edmonton, it's going to be 1-1.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Even
no matter
if Edmonton wins game 1, Florida wins game 2.
I mean, Edmonton's rocky, or not raw, but the building rocks.
Sure,
when it's at home ice. So
really good ring.
Really good home crowd. But like I said, I think it's going to be 1-1 no matter what. And if Edmonton does pull off game 1, I could see them going up 2-0.
Yeah.
As well, just because of how great that crowd is and how much of a home ice advantage Edmonton is. But for my personal prediction, I think it's 1-1 out of Edmonton.
Yeah, I think these guys know, and Florida, the experienced guys, Kachuk, Marchand, getting a game, if they can get game 1, how important it is. I think they're going to come out guns blazing. Obviously, Edmonton, it will as well. It's Stanley Cup Finals.
Marchand's come back in series numerous times in his career. So even if they do go down, Florida's never out.
No.
So.
Yeah. Gretzky won game 1 of his rematch against the Islanders, but that was on the road. And he ended up winning their first game at home too. I think they swept them in that second year. Then Crosby ended up losing game 1 of the rematch against Detroit 3-1. They lost both games in Detroit and then won their first home game. So Edmonton, their first home game, and it's their first game of the series. Can you kind of emulate maybe what Gretzky did and end up seeing a sweep? We will see. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Let us know your predictions for game 1. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.